Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility, alongside in the co-captain's chair, Mr. Jamie Laszlo. It's summertime, folks.
Yes, it is.
It's summertime. So Jamie and I have been talking for a while of doing a kind of like summertime listening show. So basically, what's the kind of stuff that we listen to when we're out here? We're sitting out in the yard,
Having a beer.
having a cold one, swimming in the pool, maybe doing some yard work, getting some sun, whatever. And so we waited for it to get nice enough where we could both sit outside, where we have the pools opened and the grass is green, trees are green, umbrellas are up. So as you can see, all that is happening here, right? Casa de Pardo and at the Laszlo house. So what we've done is we have pulled out 10 albums that we like to listen to outdoors during this time of year. So
Right.
it was interesting to put this together because I think I just kind of gravitated towards stuff that for me is all about the pool and the barbecue and having people over, not necessarily about cranking heavy metal or the most complex progressive rock, all that sort of stuff. For me, generally speaking, in this time of year, when I'm sitting out back here, it's all about classic rock, southern rock, and a little bit of jazz here and there. That's kind of what I gravitate towards in this time of year. Not that I don't listen to my metal in the car or my prog at the gym or something like that, but when I'm back here, that's kind of what I like. It's got to be real familiar. I love live albums, listening in the outdoors. Guitar solos are welcome, all that kind of stuff. So with all that being said, we've got 10 each. I got a couple honorable mentions. I'll have Jamie kick us off with his number 10.
Well, you said a lot of the same stuff I was going to say. This isn't the time for heavy jazz fusion or prog or death metal. This isn't the time to sit there and go, wasn't that interesting the way they did that? This is sing-along music that makes you feel good, maybe makes you feel like a kid back in the day during the summertime. So, and I thought about it long and hard on how to arrange my list. Do I do it by how well I like the albums? Do I do it by how summery they sound or how often I play them on the deck? So I brushed that all aside. And the way I did this, I did it in narrative form. Like I'm bringing you through my regular Saturday from late morning, early afternoon to when the sun goes down and what I'm listening to and what I'm doing at each moment. So it starts off with me opening the deck. Maybe I'm cleaning the bar, sweeping, taking the cover off the deck, putting the umbrellas up, just chilling. Maybe to some coffee, drinking some tea. My brand new Comic Book Geezers coffee mug. There you go, a little plug for you.
Benches of wood, there you go.
Yeah, so people go out to Comic Book Geezers. I mean, if they go on your Facebook page, they'll be able to find the link to get Ventures of Wood, Wild Bill's creation, I believe.
Yes, indeed.
So yeah, get yourself one and you can wake up to some morning wood yourself. So what am I listening to when I first get up? A little Americana. I'm going to throw on some Cougar Mellencamp. John Mellencamp, put that in the boombox. I know he's not your biggest cup of tea, you know. Maybe Springsteen might be the only Americana guy that you really get into. Seeger, a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think this is one of the best albums of the 80s. Man, I was playing it last Saturday, and I was sad when it was over. It sounds like, I wasn't alive in the early 60s, but it sounds like early 60s summer to me. Like you're at the drive-in restaurant, a chick is coming to you on roller skates and giving you a burger and a root beer float. And he actually had his band rehearse like 100 different early 60s rock songs before they recorded this album. And it shows. So yeah, it's an 80s rock version of a James Dean movie to me, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And, you know, I'm glad that there's a lot of songs I feel with time that people are going to forget by him, like Rain on the Scarecrow. Such a badass song, but at least he's got his Jack and Diane and Little Pink Houses to keep him relevant still on the radio and everything. A funny thing about this album is that I was looking at who produced it. It says Little Bastard. And I'm sitting here thinking, was there gangster rappers back in 1985?
Yeah, who could that be?
Yeah, and were they producing John Mellencamp albums? So I later found out just this morning that's what Mellencamp called himself, little bastard, because he was such a prick to work for and work with. So there you go, Mellencamp, the original gangster rapper.
There you go. Very cool. All right. I like the way you kind of presented your list as, you know, kind of taking you through the day. I didn't go to those links, but I just kind of, and these are in no real order, but so my number 10, what I like about this album in general is that it gives you so many flavors of what this band is all about. But I think there's some bright stuff on here. There's some sitting out in the sun stuff. There's some heavy stuff on here. There's some blues on here. There's some folk, hard rock, Led Zeppelin, Physical Graffiti, and it's nice and long. So like, you know, you got almost 90 minutes out there where you don't have to get up and change the CD player or go, you know, move the iPod to something else, you know, move that click wheel around and find something else. So yeah, just a great album anyway, but it's also a pretty good summertime album for me. And
Yeah.
When it comes to listening to Zeppelin outside, this is the one I usually go for. Although Houses of Holy is a close second. I dig that one quite a bit for this particular setting. But yeah, Physical Graffiti is my number 10 choice.
My go-to on Zeppelin in the summer is 3.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah, I can't argue.
Lighter, airier.
Yeah.
All right. So number 2, I'm now cooking out. I got the grill going, got some burgers on the grill. And back in the day, 1991, when I went to Penn State, when I was skipping classes at Penn State, me and my buddy, he lived off campus for about 2 miles off of campus in this really nice apartment complex. They were almost townhomes, and there was this big pool right in the middle. And they had a hot tub that fit maybe 14 people, 14 college students, 17 normal adults who don't want to bump into people. So we'd get there early, like at noon, because they had a 5-disc changer in the clubhouse with a pool table, and the speakers went around the pool, and we wanted to get there early so we could control the music for the whole day. And as we cooked on one of the grills they had outside, we would always play the Temple of the Dog album. And I know you like Soundgarden, but I don't know.
That's a good album. I like that album. Yeah.
Yes, it's very, you know what? A lot of these songs, we played this before it even got played on the radio. And I used to tell my buddy, some of these songs sound like country western to me. Like they call me the dog. But yeah, I mean, this brings me right back to those days. And this is the original one we put in that player too. And we play it all day. So there you go.
Cool. All right. Seems I have been talking about this album a lot lately. I don't know why. It just keeps coming up in so many different shows that I talk about. But this is another one of my ultimate crank it outdoors type of albums. I've loved this album since I was a kid. I still love it to this day. It's my favorite album by this band, but there's also something ultimately tuneful and sing-along-ish. That's not even a word, but about this album. I'm talking about Welcome to the Grand Illusion. I mean, I love this album. I know every song, like start to finish, front to back. And, you know, even my wife doesn't mind this album for the most part, which is pretty cool. Though she prefers Cornerstone and Paradise Theater, but she can deal with this one as well because, of course, it has Come Sail Away on it, and she likes Fooling Yourself. But yeah, I mean, you know, Tommy Shaw, Dennis DeYoung, James Young, the whole gang is here, and a lot of my favorite tunes are on here. And it's I think that this one lends itself to that setting a little bit better than Pieces of Eight for me, although Pieces of Eight comes a close second because, you know, Blue Collar Man and Renegade and all those other great songs. But yeah, Grand Illusion, my second choice.
Why do I have a feeling if we did wintertime favorite albums, that would still be in your
it might. Yeah, it might. It
winter, spring,
might.
Summer, or fall.
Yeah.
All right, number 3. I'm sitting down with some food and opening my first beer. And Mutt Lange is coming into the picture.
Uh-huh.
You need a little Cars. for the summertime.
There you go.
And Heartbeat City, I know the first one is your favorite.
Yep.
Heartbeat City is my favorite. I mean, it's got the slick production of Mutt Lange, but it's not like hysteria slick. It was 84, so it was like a few years before he got a little nuts with the dials. And it should be a little slick though, because it is a new wave album. And I just love it. And the funny thing about this, it came out in April of 84. So right at the beginning of the summer. I mean, and Magic was a hit. And if you take the first 9 words of the lyrics of Magic, 4 of those words is the word summer. Doesn't get much more summer than that.
That's right.
And You Might Think was the first hit. And I remember the radio station I grew up with, BVE, would do the top 5 at 5. Most 5 requested songs of the day at 5 o'clock. And I was in a shoe store with my mom, bored as hell, because I was shopping for shoes at 14 or 13. And I was listening to the top 5 at 5 on the radio that they were playing in the store. And I'll never forget, they said and number 3, the Cars, You Might Think. And I was sitting there going, I might think, well, is it number 3 or isn't it? I was a slow child, Pete. I'm the one that held back the class with dumb questions. But no, this is one of my favorites from the car. My number 1 favorite from the Cars. And I had this cassette in my cousin borrow it for the weekend, and she lost the tape and never replaced it. Of course, I bought it on CD later, but I saw this cassette 2 weeks ago in a store, and I was like, literally, I was, hello again, got it in my hands.
Yeah, I mean, the Cars are definitely a band that lend themselves to this type of a setting for sure.
Yes.
And, I just got that box set with the first, with those original, 5 or 6 albums.
Right.
And, I can totally see myself playing those a bit outdoors this year. Because, I mean, most
play that one. Try that one this summer.
Yeah, I mean, there's good songs on it. Like I said, I still like the first one the best, but there's good songs on all those albums. And it's all like kind of fun, upbeat type of music. And it's like, and most of these songs everybody's heard before. And I think the Cars lend themselves to almost any setting, right? Because how often do you come across someone who says, I can't stand the Cars? I mean, that's not something you normally hear. Most people either love them a lot or you like them, right? I mean,
you about a year ago?
Yeah, I mean, I always, I never disliked the Cars. I just never felt the need to get more than a greatest hit set.
Oh, okay.
And I did that show with Martin back, whenever that was. And I was like, yeah, the more I kind of looked at that first album, Candy-O, I'm like, yeah, you know what? There's some songs on these albums that I like that aren't on that greatest hit set. And then I looked and I got the box set for like $20. And I was like, shit, I'm gonna get them all. And I'm glad I did, because there's a lot of other good stuff that, non-radio hits on those albums. So, and like I said,
it's fun to watch you progress along. I mean, we're all progressing with what you show us. It's nice to see you evolve and progress along too. It's fun.
I can't, from time to time, it does happen, right?
Yeah.
All right. My next pick is also from the kind of same era we've been talking about here. This is one of those albums that it's possible I've heard this album more than any other album I own over the course of the last 45 years or whatever the hell it is, and yet it's still totally enjoyable when I hear it. And it's one of those arena rock albums that sounds great, cranked up on the deck out there while I'm in the pool, and everybody loves this album, and it's the first Boston album. This has just always been a summertime album for me. I mean, just, come on, man. More Than a Feeling, Peace of Mind, rock and roll band smoking, cranked up to 11, where all the neighbors can hear it.
Right.
Love it. And everybody
what month did that come out?
What's that?
I wonder. Do you know what month that came out back in 76?
I don't remember. That's a good question.
I wonder if it came out around the summertime.
It might.
It seems like it should.
That'd be perfect. That'd be perfect if it did, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I used to be so sick of that album back when I listened to the radio a lot. And I haven't listened to the radio for about 4 or 5 years. And I'm coming back around on all those albums that I was tired of back in the day. And that's one of them. I can now listen to that album. I put it on myself out of choice now sometimes.
Yeah. I never get tired of it. It's like I every couple of months I need to hear the whole thing through and through just to remind myself how much I love it. And it's just, it's
Right.
so good, man. And you know it like start to finish, right? Like
Oh yeah.
an old shoe or something like that. But there's something to be said about that. So
Summer of 1985, we were on vacation. My cousin was 16 and driving, and I was 15. And we were driving around slow around the beach. And we would play that because we said, chicks like Boston, right? And we put on like the best songs, quote unquote, with the windows down, hoping chicks would look at us. We're so stupid. All right. Now, I'm not a big greatest hits kind of guy. But during the summer, I like to play a couple of them because we want to sing along and we want to know all the words. And a lot of times you have other people hanging out with you, whether it's my mom or my wife or sister, and they want to hear hits too. So I almost went with Foreigner 4, but I'm just going to go with the records. It's, you know, back in the day when we would go to the public pool and everyone would be lying out with their little boom box playing, and maybe it was all on the same radio station, you would hear so much Foreigner.
Oh yeah.
And from everyone's radio, from the same radio station, and maybe because of how far away someone was, or maybe whatever, there was a little bit of an echo in the air from all the radios playing the same song. and when I hear these songs in the summertime, in my mind, I almost hear that echo. Like when I always watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, I saw it like 11 times in the theater. And back then they had awful sound systems in the cheap theaters I saw it in. When I watch it sometimes, like in my mind, I still hear it on that cheap sound system that the theaters had. So yeah, this brings me right back to public pools and swimming in other people's pee and all that great stuff.
Oh God, I hope not. But it does happen, right? It does happen. Yeah, I mean, Foreigner's a perfect summertime band. Absolutely, because every song on that greatest hit set is just a banger, right? It's just,
yes.
Yeah.
You know them
Great
all.
choice. Great choice. All right, so I'm going to break away from the classic rock thing here for a minute, and this album and this artist has taken on really greater significance for me since COVID started. And I find that his music and his band's music just feel good music no matter what time of year it is. And I listened to a lot of Pat Metheny last summer, of course, because we couldn't go anywhere. And I was sitting out here by the pool all summer long. And I found that while I probably like other of his albums a little bit better, there's something about hanging out in your floaty in the pool, sipping a beer on a gorgeous day, Letter from Home by the Pat Metheny Group. Just, I don't know. I guess it's probably like the Brazilian influences on this album that are just like absolutely intoxicating. This is just, I don't know how anybody could say, I don't like that album. It's just, this to me is just like you put it on and, you know, the little vocalizations and that wonderful silky smooth guitar and the piano and the rhythms. And it's just, to me, it just screams summertime. And it's just so, no matter what you're doing, you're sitting outside, you want something that's going to kind of calm you and get you chill. Letter from Home is the album for me. It's just a magnificently gorgeous album. And that's my number, whatever the hell we're up to. Number 7.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I lost track of telling you what I'm doing with every album. Whatever. But yeah, you said that Pat Metheny got you through last year, like 2020. Your Pat Metheny was your boy, Bob Dylan. I just played Bob Dylan to death out here. My wife hated me. Everyone hated me.
I would have hated you too, man.
I don't know anyone who likes Bob Dylan except me. You know how you buy off for like bugs when you're outside? My off for people is playing Bob Dylan. Everyone just leaves. I'm like, good.
Well, your neighbors go on vacation when the Dylan comes out, right?
Yeah, exactly. So next, what am I? With Foreigner, I said I'm lounging in the pool with my second beer.
Yes.
All right. So number 5, I'm sitting on the deck, drying off in the sun. That's a great feeling when you're wet and you're drying off in the sun and you're not hot, you know, because you got the cool water on you. And I'm chilling to a band that probably not a lot of people who are viewers here is they're probably not familiar with them. Cracker, mostly a 90s band.
I remember those guys. Holy cow.
Yeah, I sent you a song last summer and you didn't hate it. You said it sounded a little bit like the Stones. It was Take Me Down to the Infirmary.
So I had to tell everybody, Tala's here to visit. They're all out here with me.
Hi, Tala. French Kisses with Daddy.
There you go.
So this is the golden age. All the hits were on the previous album, like Low, like Getting Stoned. Maybe some people remember that song. But there's two songs on here that are just so, they sound like being in the desert. They're not desert rock. They're just rock that sounds like the desert. And that's Dixie Babylon and Big Dipper. And they have a breezy, like spaghetti Western guitar tone. They're really slow. And it works when you're just drying off and letting the sun hit you. And the lyrics that open Big Dipper, it's very slow, very mundane. And it goes, cigarettes and carrot juice. Get yourself a new tattoo for those sleeveless days of June. I'm sitting on a cafe, Zeno steps, with a book I haven't started yet, watching all the girls walk by. So it sets the stage for a June day.
There you go.
And later on, he says, he's sitting on the cafe Zeno steps with a girl I'm not over yet. And I remember when I bought this album and came out, and I was sitting on the back steps of my apartment building. And it was the first warm day of the season. And I was listening to that. And I'm like, I'm sitting on the steps thinking of a girl I'm not over yet. Wow. And listening to that song always brings me back to that fucking heartbreaking moment. But I love it. Yes. Yes, I love it. So, and Joan Osborne's on here in a few songs, and she adds some backing vocals that are really good. Say what you want about her. She has a great bluesy voice. So, you know, I'm begging everyone. I know it's like trying to sell a rosary to a Jewish person, but give it a try, guys. Listen to it. Golden Age.
So you mentioned a lyric in that song about, reading a book and whatnot. Do you like reading out by the pool on a, nice day like today?
I start books and don't finish them, Pete.
Oh, okay.
I'm one of those guys.
Gotcha.
And I always say the first day I always say I'll get to it tomorrow is when it's over. I'm just never, I don't know why. Is it my ADD? I don't know.
I mean, that could be, yeah. I don't know. I love reading. I'm always reading some book or two at a time. And
yeah,
I love being able to knock out a couple hours and sit by the pool and just, have some light music on. That's when jazz is perfect, because I can read and listen to jazz. I can't read and listen to like metal, prog, or classic rock. I just can't do it.
I used to finish books a lot, but lately it's I just lose interest. Or
hard to find the time. I try to do it every night before I go to sleep.
I know. You got movies, music, sports. You're doing videos. You're watching videos. It's hard. Your wife time. It's hard to fit in. I don't know how you do it.
That's why I need 56 hours in a day, because I got to fit all this stuff in. I don't even have time to read. I have like probably about 150 comic books I bought like 6-8 months ago that I still haven't read yet. And I'm like, I never do that. I can buy them and read them and then put them away in the boxes. They're just sitting in my closet, like stacked. Like,
and I saw you're watching a movie last night at 11 o'clock at night, and I know you're up by 7. Like, this guy must have fallen asleep right when he hits the pillow.
Yeah, I fell asleep the last 20 minutes of the movie, and I woke up, the credits were on, so I'm like, oh shit. So I rewound it, went back to the last thing I remembered, rewatch it, went to bed, and then I was up by 6:30 this morning. I was like, oh man, I just feel like I just hit this pillow. This is ridiculous. So
two-beer video. Two-beer video.
There you
go. Doing a 2-beer video.
There you go. All right, so back to classic Rockville here. Love this album to death. Love this band. I think most of this band's material is summertime ready, but something about this album, every song just rules, whether it's the hard rock tunes on here, the folky songs on here, the kind of funky pop stuff. It's all just like, I don't know, this is totally like drinking beer music and just sitting back, chilling and singing. The Captain and Me by the Doobie Brothers. Amazing album, man. Natural Thing just kicks it all off with that great guitar lick. You got Long Train Running, probably my favorite Doobie Brothers song of all time. China Grove, so much fun. Dark Eyed Cajun Woman, kind of bluesy, folky. Clears the driven snows, kind of proggy and folky at the same time. Without You is hard charging rock. South City Midnight Lady, my wife likes a lot, great tune. Evil Woman's heavy. I mean, the whole thing is just great. Title track, Ukaya, Busted Down Around O'Connelly Court. It's just a great, great album. One of the greatest classic rock albums of all time, and it's just a ready-made for the summer, and it gets a lot of play here in the summertime.
I used to have it on 8-track back in the day, and I used to play it on, do you remember 2XL?
Yeah.
The little robot that would ask you questions. You put the 8-track in his belly.
Yep.
I used to play that on my 2XL.
Wow.
Along with my Crystal Gale 8-track. Crystal Gale was hot, man.
Oh, yeah. Back in the day, sure thing.
Oh, yes. Wrap that hair all around.
Our hair was so long. We had to get down to our ankles, right? It's like crazy.
Yeah. All right. Now I'm back in the pool. I got my floaty bar. Got a beer in there, and I'm going underwater, going underneath the floaty bar. Sip underneath, sip. And what's playing? Now I know Butch Jones is going to give me heck. As Martin Popoff would say, give me heck. But I am not going with Van Halen 2, even though I get it, and I play Van Halen 2 quite often outside. But I am going with For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge because, man, when this starts and that drill is going, first thing I think of is my old Mustang convertible. Just the top going down, and we're about to take off on a ride, man. And that same feeling works when you're outside on the deck. It's all summer. And I could have went with a David Lee Roth, but you know what? This album, first of all, Michael Anthony's bass on this album he's the star, I think, on this album. I like the low tone, this is like a heaviness this album has, but then Sammy Hagar's vocals are kind of bright and kind of evens it out. It's a nice contrast. And if I swear to God, if Summer had a singing voice, it would sound like Sammy Hagar.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue that at all. Yep.
He sounds like Tequila and Summer and Sand.
Yep.
So you got to have Sammy Hagar, some sort, I think, when you're out listening to music in the summertime. So there you go. You know what? And I think it's the most listened to Van Halen album of the last 10 years for me.
Yeah.
Fair Warning is maybe 2, but this is 1.
Yeah, I mean, those Sammy albums that's probably, if it's not my favorite, it's my number 2 of the Sammy era. But they all have that quality. And I remember, like, when I was, Jesus, I had to have been, what year did 5150 come out? 84, 85?
It's A6.
86. All right. So I was 21. That came out in the summer. And I don't think I listened to anything else that summer but that album. Over and over and over and over again.
And I remember the promos that summer for that album. They started with the promo. Van Halen's new album. Here it comes. That's funny. I was like, oh, here it comes.
I mean, yeah, everybody was listening to that album that summer. So that was crazy.
Yeah,
it's a good choice. That's a good choice. All right, my next choice here is an album and a band too that gets a lot of play here in the summertime, just because, you know, my side of the family is Italian and Spanish. My dad's side of the family is from Spain. My mom's side of the family is from Italy. My wife's side of the family are from Puerto Rico, and I think this band everybody gets into. So if I'm gonna play some like kind of classic rock around the house when I have like all sorts of people here, generally speaking, Santana always goes over really well here. And man, the first album is just, I mean, this is like one of the best jams of all time, right? I mean, just every song, boom, 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 just is amazing. And, you know, they may have bigger hits on some of their other albums, but this is the one that just kind of, the groove to this album, it's like, this is the album you put on at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon when everybody has had their lunch and everybody's starting to crack open the beers. Everybody's in the pool, the what do you call it? The ball, the floaty ball, the whatever you call the volleyball, yes, is flying around inside the pool. People jumping in and out of the water, and Santana is cranking on the boombox or on the little wireless head, you know, thingamajiggy there, flip, We have one of those flip things, the wireless speaker things. But yeah, this album just pulses. It gets everybody going, gets everybody drinking, and before
that works.
Got to refill the cooler of beer, right? So
yeah, I totally can see that.
Yeah,
I'm more of a Santana 3 kind of guy.
I am too, but I think
that in the summer that might work better.
Yeah, I think the first album works a little bit better. I mean, the first 3 are amazing. You gotta like cue them all up basically, and the third is my favorite album, but the first one is just like everybody knows most of those songs, and it's just like, man, it just cooks from start to finish, and that just gets everybody going. So,
all right, cool. All right, number 7. I'm out of the pool. I'm back on the deck drinking beer number. And as these albums are reminding me of summers gone by, summers in the past. But you got to make new memories, Pete. Yeah. You got to play some music that's newer. So in the future, when you hear it, you think about the summer of 2021. And we got here the new Cheap Trick. It's got to be played in the summertime. And right when I heard it, I think right when everyone heard this, when it's warm outside, this I'm going to bust this out. I love it because a lot of bands around the 70-year-old mark, when their members are older, some of them, when they release something new, they just sound old and tired to me. I mean, I see what they're trying to do, but the vocals sound like a 72-year-old, and it just depresses me sometimes. I won't mention bands, but the bands that do it right, I think, are Blue Oyster Cult, Uriah Heep, and Cheap Trick. They still sound fresh as ever. And this is like, I don't own every Cheap Trick album.
I don't either. Yeah.
I think I only have 4, but this is the 4 that I bought, and I love it. And it actually ties because I got 2 new releases. This other one came out in November. So it's the first summer this album is around. And I'm going to do this with how many people you think are going to be watching this video here?
Oh, I'll do a few thousand. Yeah.
A few thousand? Yeah. Well, hello, a few thousand people. But I play this album when it's over, I'm sad. And I just got it recently, the new Miley Cyrus album.
Oh, yeah. I saw you posting that on Facebook. Yeah, that was kind of strange, but I haven't heard it, so I really can't comment.
So good, my God. You know, right when I bought it, I put it in. And the first song called WTF Do I Know? And she's like, what the fuck do I know? I'm like, oh, what did I buy? And her voice is a little auto-tuned. I'm like, oh, good thing it was only $10. But then the auto-tune goes away, and it's away from most of the album, and it's just her singing. And it's glam rock. It's closer to Joan Jett and Pat Benatar than it is Taylor Swift. It's great. You know what? Listen to the Plastic Hearts. If any of you listen to Plastic Hearts and say you hate it, you're lying. You're lying. It's great. She did it on SNL 2 weeks ago with a horn section. And I was like, this is good. And I was on Amazon buying it. But I saw her do before the NFL draft. She did like a half-hour performance outside. And I'm watching it going, this chick is killing it. It's rock music. It ain't pop music. She's going full-fledged rock. So I am a Hannah Montana fan now. I guess.
I'm gonna have to check it out because I've heard that from a few people, and I would never given 2 thoughts to ever listening to her music before.
I know
what I've heard, but so it's worth
give it a try.
Not to give it a try.
Your wife will like it.
Probably. I will say that Cheap Trick, I am looking. I didn't put it on my list because obviously I don't know yet, but I guarantee you that Cheap Trick album is going to be getting a lot of plays out here this year, as well as The Symbol Remains by Blue Oyster Cult, which I still can't stop listening.
Yeah.
Even though it's been out for, all these months now. But yeah.
I gave Cheap Trick the test drive last Saturday, and it worked.
It worked. All right.
Well, everything worked. The tires are good. Everything's good.
All right. Well, that's good to hear because I think I'm going to attempt it this weekend. The water temperature is probably about, I don't know, it was like 68 2 days ago, but it's been warm.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
So yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. Worst case scenario, I'll be out there. Even if I don't go in, I'll be out there. So
there'll be a lot of shrinkage this weekend.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah. And it's funny, like 2-3 years ago, man, I would go into that pool if it was 65, 68 degrees without even going to do it.
Yeah, heart attack.
I've noticed in the last 2 years, unless it's over 70, it's way too cold for me. So I don't know. I guess you hit that like mid 50s thing, and it's all
closer you get to 70, the more you need it to be 70.
I know, right? Yeah. So, anyway. All right. So I got a couple live albums coming up here because, again, I love live albums out by the pool because it kind of, I don't know, something about an outdoor show, right? And you're out by the pool, listen to a live album. It's almost like in your head. You can envision the band playing out here in my field. So Little Feat, Waiting for Columbus. What a intoxicatingly fun album this is. I mean, this is just like, if there is a better get up on your feet and have a great time album than this, tell me about it, because I don't know one. This is just so much fun. If you're in the pool, you're just bouncing around and drinking your beer. If you're not in the pool, you're dancing around the deck, and it's just so many great songs on here. And again, this would be kind of like the last big release for Little Feat before Lowell George left us, but it's one of the greatest live albums of all time for a reason. It's just so amazing. And they're a good studio band, but live is where they really kind of kick it up a notch. So yeah, that's a good outdoorsy album for me.
Yes, it is. I filled in some gaps after you and Martin did your video. I went to the record store and found some $3 albums, Little Feat. So I was listening to them last week.
Cool. Awesome.
All right. Number 8, drinking beer number, who the hell knows? On the deck, the deck's is now a dance floor. Got to have that period of time when you're dancing and neighbors are giving you funny looks and you don't care. So going with a little NXS
good
kick. Yes. Now, what is this? Is it new wave? Is it pop rock? Is it power pop? Is it alternative rock? I don't know where to keep it. I keep my music in genres, and I never know where to keep NXS.
Yeah, that's a good question. It kind of encompasses a little bit of all that, right? Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't into this when it first came out, but around 1991-ish, when I was at Penn State, I worked in a kitchen at a restaurant, one of the bars, and a dude played this all the time. And I was like, you know what? I missed out when this came out in '87. This is a great album. We had a little boombox. One speaker of the two worked. And that's what we listened to music on. And the dude who did prep in the morning would listen to 70s Genesis on it. 70s Genesis out of one speaker. And that's the first time I ever heard 70s Genesis in mono, I guess you could say, in a way. But yeah, I'm dancing. I'm doing the Michael Hutchins dance. Let's do it right. Did you see my finger? Yeah, I know. Something wrong with me. Anyways, yeah. This is actually a winter, spring, summer, or fall kind of album. But yeah, when you want to dance out on the deck, put in some kick.
Yeah, NXS, Tears for Fears, I mean, all that kind of stuff. It's just good, feel good, fun music. Yes. Yeah. That's a good choice. That's a good choice. So I'm going to dedicate this one to my wife because she will play this quite often when we're out together by the pool, just trying to figure out what to listen to, because we're both kind of conscious of what each other likes. And, she knows I'm a little bit pickier than she is, right? But, and she doesn't like as much stuff as I do, but she is a big Southern rock fan because she likes country. And she always says, most of these Southern rock bands you listen to, it's just kind of like kicked up country to me. And I'm like, well, whatever. Yeah. She happens to like Lynyrd Skynyrd quite a bit. So a lot of times, like when we'll be playing, she's got a Spotify account, so we'll run Spotify through the flip speaker, and she will dial up One More from the Road, because double disc live set. It's got all the old classic songs that she likes and myself, and it's one of the best live albums, of any Southern rock band. So, everything's on here. I mean, Simple Man, Needle in the Spoon, Give Me Back My Bullets, Freebird, Sweet Home Alabama, I Ain't the One, Saturday Night Special. I mean, the whole kit and caboodle's here, and it's great. And again, perfect. I literally had to stop myself, Jamie, from including every single release on my list from Southern rock, because
I have a feeling that you had 10 Southern rock albums and you're like, maybe I need to mix this up.
Yeah, but I know it wasn't 10, but it was like 7. And I'm like, because I listen to a lot more than that, but I really listen to a lot more Southern rock this time of year out by the pool than I do anything else. But I had to stop myself because that's not all I listen to, and I didn't want every single one to be a Southern rock album. So, you gotta. Actually, you didn't get that much of it here at all. I have a couple listed in my honorable mentions, but so yeah,
all right,
cool. A little bit here. So yeah, there you go. Leonard Skinner had to be on here because we're listening to a ton of Skinner outdoors.
All right, number 9. So we're getting a little bit later in the day, and the beer is getting a little tiring. I think I had enough beer.
Uh-oh.
So it's time for margaritas.
Oh boy.
Bust out the margaritas. And what are you gonna play margaritas? I'm not gonna play Los Lobos, but I will play a little Marley. And I'm going deep. I'm not gonna play Legend because we like to go deep. And I already have a greatest hits with Foreigner, and I didn't want 2 greatest hits. So I'm going to do Uprising because it has my wife's favorite song, Redemption Song. She is the biggest Bob Marley fan I know, and her favorite Bob Marley song is the least reggae sounding song of all time. Kind of interesting. But it has the deep cuts like Zion Train and Forever Loving Jah and Coming In From the Cold. Every time I hear Coming In From the Cold, we lived together back in 2002, and we were on the deck at the house we lived in at the time. I remember it was getting a little cool outside, and we were moving everything in, and that song was playing. And I'm like, oh, coming in from the cold. For some reason, that little 15-second moment in my life, I always think of when I hear that song. So yeah, you got to have Marley in the summer. If you probably don't listen to them often, but when you do, I bet you it's summer.
It is, yeah. I mean, I am not a big reggae fan, but I do like Bob Marley. And I always, when someone else is playing them or when I put them on, I get into it because I think Bob Marley is,
yeah.
That's perfect summertime music. Absolutely.
Peter Tosh was a good guitar player.
I
believe.
Yeah. Yeah. There are a lot of good guitar players in reggae music. They just didn't always show it, but a lot of talent there. Cool.
I saw Ziggy Marley 2 years ago and he blew me away.
Very cool.
I almost picked Ziggy for this, but I didn't want to go that deep.
All right. Got to put some jammy stuff on here. And what better bands if you want to hear some long jams? And this is probably like a 3 o'clock in the afternoon band for me because I know I generally gravitate towards their live albums, although I love their studio albums too. But most of the Grateful Dead live albums are, a couple hours long or whatever. And that'll take you through to like maybe time to get the grill started and all that. So I went with Dead Set, which I happen to like quite a bit. I know most people, when they talk about their favorite Grateful Dead live albums, they have all these other ones that they pick, the Fillmore stuff and what have you. But I love this live album quite a bit. This is from 1981. And I like this period in the Dead's history because their playing is a little more expansive, but they're still drawing from a lot of the influences from the 70s and whatnot. But there's so many great songs on here. Samson Delilah, Franklin's Tower is on here, Sugaree, Road Jimmy, Jack Straw, Not Fade Away. So many great songs. And you got 2 discs on here, nice and long. And this is, Jerry's guitar, Just Let It Take You Away. And this is when you're chilling out in the pool. You got your floaty that you're laying on, you got your cold beer sitting in the little cup holder that's built in, right? And just and let it play, man. Just let it play. Let Jerry and the boys take you away.
You play that, I'm going on a beer run and I'm taking my time. I might get some gas.
Not a Dead fan? Well, that's it.
Dead Set. I wish I was dead if I listened to that set. I don't hate them that much. There's a few songs I like, but yeah.
They're not for everybody. They're in a quiet chase. I didn't always like them, but I
like Fish. I'll play Fish in the summer too. I like Fish. So going almost that route on my last one, because the sun's starting to go down. I'm heat stroke. I'm drunk as hell. I'm sitting here on the deck by myself. The sun sets right there over the flag, if you can see. I don't know if you can see. And I'm playing a little Where It All Begins by the Allman Brothers.
Oh, great choice.
Now the Allman Brothers always had a bit of a, they said that Van Halen has a brown sound. Allman's kind of have a brown sound too to me. But this album just seems a little brighter. I don't know if it's the cover because it's blue and my mind just plays tricks on me, but it just seems brighter and more summery to me. And yeah, I think it's my favorite Allman Brothers album. And it's got No One Left to Run With Anymore. And as I get older, you know, I was starting to understand that song in my late 20s, early 30s. It's kind of the sister song to All My Rowdy Friends That Settle Down by Hank Williams Jr., if you know that one. They're talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
So those songs are like two peas in a pod. Well, I guess a pea in a pod over there and a pea by himself and a pod over there because they don't have friends to hang out with. But yeah, I mean, I always get depressed when I start to see the sun go down because I know the day's almost over and Sundays come in with 60 minutes and then work.
I know.
But hey, I mean, you know, even without the sun, you got soulshine, and it's better than sunshine. And it's damn sure better than rain.
That's right. That's right.
So there you go.
Yeah, that is that almost made my top 10. Believe it or not.
There you go.
And then I actually wound up putting another Allman's album in my honorable mentions, and it was because I was tossed between that and another one, and I ultimately went with another one. But I that is probably my favorite post 1990 album from the Allmans. I guess I love them all. I'm of the firm opinion that their reunion albums are just about as strong as their classic stuff.
That's my favorite Allman Brothers, period.
It's amazing. It's great.
I love it.
I love Seven Turns. I love that one. I love the last one they did. I mean, that they're just
Seven Turns. The song is a great late night.
That whole The Gambler's Roll. I mean, there's great stuff on there. Oh, just
Shades of Two Worlds or whatever it's called.
Oh, Shades of Two Worlds is amazing. Yeah, it was great albums. Great albums. Underappreciated in my opinion. All right, so the last one here today, I mentioned to you that we were going on a trip down Main Street about a week ago where you wanted some spoilers for what I was going to pick here. So
not Bob Seger Main Street.
No, it's this is an album by a band that I dig a lot, that I listen to a lot out on the deck. In fact, if you were to go onto my Facebook page and search into like my photos and my videos from like maybe 6 or 7 years ago, maybe it wasn't quite that long ago, there's a video of me fairly intoxicated.
I think it's like this. Something like that, as I recall.
I'm actually dancing on the deck.
Oh, okay.
Listening to "Miss You" by the Rolling Stones.
Okay, all right.
And because I love the Stones, and I just kind of, get into them a lot more in the summertime. But no, Exile on Main Street has become one of my go-to summertime albums, and this is an album that took a long time for me to appreciate. For the longest time, I was always kind of like, I don't get all the love for Exile on Main Street. I tried. And then, like 3 years ago, it just happened. And finally, after all these years, realized how much I love so many of these songs and how fun this album is. Maybe
I think it had that effect on most people.
I guess, right? I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people. Yeah, it is a grower. I mean, I think some people got it immediately, when it came out. Yeah. I was, what was I? I was way too young when this first came out. So
it's a long album, so a lot to digest.
It is long. And, but I think it's like once you really realize the history of what went on behind the scenes during the making of this album, it makes you appreciate it even more. I mean, this was like some Looney Tunes times when they were putting this album together. And everything that was going on, I've read a couple books on the making of this album and everything that was happening. And it made me appreciate the history of it and the legacy of it. And then I started revisiting the music, and I was like, and it's very much a Keith album. And who doesn't love Keith Richards, right? And I think ultimately it's a really fun album. It's bluesy, it's folky, it's got its little country bits and stuff like that. And it's just an amazing record. I mean, Rocks Off, Rip This Joint, Tumbling Dice, Sweet Virginia, I mean, Ventilator Blues, I mean, all down the line, so many great songs. And and it gets a ton of play here out by the pool now every summer since I finally figured it all out, right? So some girls almost made my list because it's my happy hour album. It would be my, if it wasn't for this, it would be my Stones choice because I love on
Some Girls, Open Your First Beer. It's like a perfect happy hour. I play it sometimes at happy hour on the deck, but I also play it in the middle of January. So I was like, I'll work something else then. So I got a couple honorable mentions. Do you want to do yours or mine?
Doesn't matter. Go for it.
All right. first off, I had this on my list until I noticed I had 11 yesterday. I just noticed I had 11. Slide It In by Whitesnake.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
I play it a lot during the summer. It just reminds me of, we played this a lot when we were kids by the pool playing Marco Polo. And why I took it out is because it reminds me of summer more than it sounds summery, if that makes sense.
Hey, it makes total sense.
I had to make some cuts. When my mom comes over, you got to put on something that mom will like and that I like. And this is probably the best greatest hits package that I own. Tina Turner, greatest hits. Put that on and everybody's happy. I mean, it's got, you don't need anything else if you got this. It even has Tonight, which is on the David Bowie album that she did with David Bowie. And It's Only Love that she did on the Bryan Adams album. The only thing it's missing is the Eric Clapton song she did on Eric Clapton, August. Your Friends Are Tearing Us Apart. Yep. Had that, it would be 110% perfect. But yeah, and it's 2 discs. So mom's happy for at least an hour and a half. And I have 3 mixtapes that I made for summertime only. I hope one of these isn't too, I don't want to get too on PC or anything here. But back in early 90s, when I was at Penn State, we would go out 4-wheeling in the summertime. And I made a mixtape of country music because it just fit with, I don't know if you've ever been to Penn State, but you go 3 miles in any direction from campus and you're in the country. Yeah. So I made the Redneck tape back then, but then I made it a new version last summer called the Redneck Tape Returns. And it's all country music from like 1992 and back before it started getting shitty and turning into bro country. I always tell people I like Clint Black and back. So yeah, it's got Willie Nelson and it does have like Sturgill Simpson and Chris Stapleton. Those are the 2 new guys on here because they're kind of carrying the flag of old school country. So yeah, I like to play this a lot. It even has like Reba McEntire on there. Fancy, which is a good song. And I got The Wife Loves Reggae. So instead of just playing Bob Marley all the time, I made the Great Reggae Tape, Volume 1. And it's got a lot of good songs on it that I like and she likes. I never made a Volume 2 though. So it's kind of like that Honey Drippers album, Volume 1. They never made it.
Never another one.
Yeah.
No sequel necessary.
And my other one, as you may or may not know, I'm not the biggest fan of glam metal. I won't say the H word. I don't want to piss off anybody out there. But there are some songs I can A, tolerate, B, like. I mean, I like Cinderella. I like Dokken. I like some of the Kiss stuff. And most of the other stuff I can tolerate or they have one song though. So I put it all on one tape. It's called Hair Metal. With the rabbit there.
The rabbit, there you go.
Yeah, and I'll play this out on deck because this kind of music works in the summer.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
Yeah. So there you go.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't bring any props for my honorable mentions, but Allman Brothers Band, Brothers and Sisters was the one I ultimately went with. I almost went with the one you mentioned. They're both great, right? Brothers and Sisters is a very outdoorsy kind of, summertime album. Charlie Daniels Band, Million Mile Reflections. I play a lot of Charlie Daniels in the summertime. I like
Makes sense.
All Charlie Daniels, man, works.
He's on my Redneck tape.
Oh, there you go.
I ain't nothing but a simple man. They call me a redneck. I reckon that I am. I'm not.
Another album my wife always puts on quite a bit in the summertime is Queen Live at Wembley.
Ah, wow.
She loves Queen. And I do as well. And Live at Wembley's got most of their,
I've never heard that all the way through.
It's great. Yeah, it's really good. Great performance. I mean, at the top of their game, it's got most of their popular tracks on there. It's quite good. So we listen to that a lot out by the pool. I love listening to Journey Infinity.
Journey works.
Yeah, any Journey works, but Infinity gets a lot of play here.
I grew into Journey. I used to say they're like cotton candy. A couple bites is okay, but anymore, and I'm sick of it. I've grown into it though for some reason.
You know what it is? I mean, they have so many great songs that were never hits or radio songs, and that's the thing.
And popular music keeps getting worse and worse. And if you compare it to what today's music is, you go, it's not that bad.
Yeah, exactly. And my last one that I picked is another great long live album that's perfect for the outdoors, Wings Over America, which brings me back to, summer of 76. And I was 10 years old and, a Kiss fan, but also loving Paul McCartney and Wings, and just so many great songs on there. You get all the greatest Wings songs and you get some Beatles classics too. It's like magic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that I play outdoors,
Oh, yeah.
But those are some of the ones that I think just really kind of come to mind that, get a lot of play.
Cool. All right. It was nice having a beer with you.
Exactly.
And 2,000 other people. I hope at least 50 other people had a beer with us.
Hopefully. Exactly.
Yeah, did you remember Hands Across America? This is Beers Across America.
There you go. Yeah, I finished mine like 3/4 of the way through the show. I'm like,
That's why I brought 2. And the Penguins play at 7:00 tonight. So I'm thinking, should I keep going? Got to work tomorrow.
Exactly. So cool. Well, I want to thank Jamie for participating in this fun show. This was a great idea, a lot of fun, and might be interesting to revisit this midway through the summer and to see what new stuff has kind of infiltrated our time playlist. So if you want to do that, I'm totally game. Maybe sometime in July, mid-July, maybe.
Yeah, we can do that.
Cool.
Great.
And maybe I'll do that up from the deck. I will actually be sitting up there.
And maybe I'll say, God, that Miley Cyrus, you know what? That sucked. What was I thinking?
Oh, boy. Yeah, you never know, right?
You never know. I'm going to play it right after this.
There you go. I'm just going to have to check it out because I'm curious now, right? So
yeah, it's short. It's like 40 minutes long.
Oh, I could do that.
Yeah.
Oh, Luca. Well, you waited until the very end. That's very good, though. See, she was good. So thanks, everybody, for watching. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube
all the damn time. Even outside.
That's right. So what do we got coming up? So stay tuned on the channel. We have Monsters Den tonight. We've got Jeff Coleman, amazing guitar player who's played with so many people. He's coming on the show for an interview tonight. We got Martin Popoff tomorrow morning, a couple of things over the weekend. And then, of course, Monday night, Hudson Valley Squares. Tuesday night in the Prague Seat. Wednesday, new show review today, our What's Hot with Sea Tranquility show. Then we kind of started all over again. So thanks, everybody, for watching. For Jamie Laszlo, I am Pete Pardo. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your summer. We'll see you all real soon. Bye-bye.